How y'all doing? Nick Brengle here, and today we're talking about AI generated art, from Photoshop's new generative fill to the ability to create text to video in Runway, and then the kind of grand finale of it all, and that's Midjourney, which is just a generative art AI program interface that works through Discord. I don't pretend to know everything about it, but I've been playing with it and going down the rabbit hole over the last week or two, and it's a lot of fun. But I want to talk a little bit about the implications of the future for the creators and for artists and the way we ingest information. Even though this technology is at the infancy, it's pretty scary because I think in a few years it's going to be unmanageable, really, similar to the way social media and the internet age changed the way we communicate and talk with each other. AI is going to do the same thing in the creative space. So let's talk about it. It wasn't that long ago that you only had the ability to use something like Microsoft Paint in the 90s, and it was pretty incredible. There was no internet. There was no other digital form for a civilian person at home on a computer to create original pieces of art, and you thought that was incredible and that how could we possibly improve upon that? And of course, fast forward 20 plus years, and you can now go into a program on the internet, type in some prompts, whether it's a green, lush landscape with people running and floating and clouds made of paint and the ground made of sand, ominous hues and pastel streaks. You can type all of that and you will generate some sort of incredible piece of AI generated art. And I do this because it's original art that's generated by an artificial intelligent database that is pulling algorithmic things from all spheres of the internet and everything that is within that network, or however it works, because I don't pretend to know. I just like to say a long drawn out sentence that makes it seem like I do. I don't know how it works, but it's incredible. I went down the rabbit hole way too deep, and I'm going to show you some of those images and some of the content that I was able to create over the course of hours of figuring out the prompts of how to use Midjourney, how to use Runway, and also incorporating ChatGPT as well. And so, we'll sit at the computer, and I'm going to kind of walk you through the process of using Runway, of using Midjourney, and how it can apply to the content that we're creating here on YouTube, and also just anything out in the world that may pertain to you generating artificial intelligent art. So I want to show just a quick workflow of generative fill and expanding your frame. And so we'll go ahead and take this shot. It's just a standard YouTube talking head shot, nothing fancy here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to my transform. Now, this is the same in any editor you're using. We just happen to be in DaVinci Resolve, but you could do this in Final Cut, Premiere, and a bunch of other nonlinear editing platforms as well. But what you want to do is you're going to zoom out. Now, you don't have to do this part if you don't want to, but I am going to. So I'm going to zoom out, just do whatever you want, especially, whatever. But because my body is cut off, because we can't see my arms or legs or anything, we need to bring this down and hide it in the frame, just like we would like this shot right now or this shot anyway, because we don't need to autofill and try to create a human form down there, because it doesn't do a very good job of that. So we have this, and now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into color. where you're going to want to already have your image color graded, because Photoshop and the generative fill is going to interpret the color as it is. So if you bring in a raw ungraded file, that's the color. It's just going to recreate the same thing, which you don't want, unless you want to color grade the whole thing over, which it's probably not a good idea because they're different files. One's like a video file. I'm not sure how that would work. So we're just going to go through this workflow. So all you want to worry about is color. So for our purposes here, we're just going to move quickly. We're going to use Dehancer because it's amazing. And we're going to go ahead and slap on our in-house Rec 709 here for Dehancer. Very critical. Only work with color on this. No film grain, halation, bloom, film damage, any of that stuff. We're going to do that at the end of it. I will show you exactly what I'm talking about. So we're not going to have any film LUTs or anything like that. Let me adjust the tint here a little bit. I'm just going to kind of quickly go through this just to get something that we're going to be able to work with. Okay. All right, whatever. That's our image. We're going to work with that. So next we're going to do is go down to our little gear tool tab, and in our timeline resolution, go up to custom. Now this is different for everybody, but because I'm shooting in 6K, it's 6144 by 3456 is the aspect ratio. And I'm going to save that. And now I'm going to grab a frame from this video file. And I'm going to go up to gallery and I'm going to export that. Then we're going to come into Photoshop and we are going to create a custom aspect ratio, and that is our 6K aspect ratio. So we're going to create that, and we just get a blank canvas, and we're going to go ahead and where is my image? Here it is. We're going to drag in our image, and here it is. Now, as you can see, there's a bunch of black space, and we want to clean that up. So the first thing we're going to do is go up to our rectangular marquee tool. Again, there is a learning curve on all of this. I'm not really a Photoshop guy, but if you're editing videos, you're color grading, you'll pick up on all these tools pretty quickly. And so then we're going to come down here and we're going to marquee out this whole frame, but leave just a little bit of room. Okay. And then down here at the bottom, let's go ahead and move this up here, actually, like right here. Let me pin this here. Oh, and I depinned it. And then we're going to hit this button, which is the invert selection that we did. And then we're going to hit generative fill. And you could type stuff here, but we're just going to click generate. And then we're going to take a little nap. Takes a minute. Then when you come back from your nap, you make sure you're still in focus. You look over and look at that. Now that's this isn't really probably what you want, but again, look how impressive it is just right off the get-go. And it gives you 4 different variations. So see, we'll kind of go through. There's another, there's another, there's another. So you get the idea. Now let's just say, let's pick this one. Let's just go with this one, okay? And again, I'm not going to be sitting here going to town on making this perfect. That is not what I'm intending to do. And you've seen that in this video already, because I don't think this is a tool I'm going to use that often. Definitely not with these typical, YouTube videos, but we're going to stay on the marquee tool. We're going to come over here to this black space here and this wall, and we're going to hit generative fill. I don't know. We're just going to hit expand room. Okay. Who knows? We'll see what happens. Okay, so once you're done generating everything you want, you're happy with exactly the scene that you want. Again, this is not exactly what we want, but we're going to go with it. You're going to want to check off your original image so that it is completely transparent, and then go ahead and export out a PNG of that, and we're going to bring it back into DaVinci Resolve. Import this file. All right. And then you just drag it over, drag it on top of your original file there. And right away, you can already see that's it. It it's done it, right? Now, this clip is not perfect. As you can see, I think I moved my hands maybe out of it at least one time where you can see. Yeah, so see, for instance, here the cat goes out. So there you can see, the room that you have to work with depending on how you frame your shot. So what you're going to want to do next, if this is where you're going to be staying and doing all of your editing, me personally, I would go ahead right away and just make this a new compound clip. And now they're combined, they're together. And now you can work over in color where you can add dehancer again. And of course, if you want to add some sort of film stock, I guess you can. But this is what I was talking about before with film grain, halation, and bloom. And this will really help to sell your scene a little bit more. And just go ahead and add halation. You can add some bloom. You could do film damage, which I cannot stand scratches, so I always turn those off and just kind of have these to be really light. You could put on film breathe, gate weave, and that all helps to sell the scene. You could do a little vignetting. And that's really it. As you can see, as long as your lighting is consistent, you're not creating any crazy shadows, as you've seen in some of the examples, you can create something really special, really in a simple way, really just a few steps. And you can do this. You can do this shooting on your phone with a big cinema camera. It doesn't matter. This is going to change how we interpret and watch content, because people are going to be able to create entire studio sets basically without a green screen, a blue screen, any kind of crazy technology, just a couple of clicks of a button. So pretty cool. For today's purposes, we're just giving you a quick snapshot of what is possible. And I've preached this before. I'm definitely a purist. I like an organic, natural film feel. I like to not use a lot of graphics, especially visual effects. I don't see myself using this generative fill very often, but I can see where it's going to come up in a lot of client work. If you're shooting in an office that's small, and your client may want to make it seem like they're in a bigger space or with different windows or what have you. It's endless possibilities. It really is. So, and you'll see a bunch of terrible examples of tests that I was doing and dealing with shadows and just, it's a new technology, and I'm just trying to kind of grasp the basics of it. So if I need it, I can use it. So now let's talk a little bit about Midjourney, which is basically a text to image AI generated art. It is way beyond anything that I have ever experienced when it comes to just creating something out of just text, and a computer is able to manipulate that and go through, I'm guessing, millions and billions of different data points, files, algorithms, photos, pieces of work, art, everything, and it creates original works of art. Not really, but I mean, it is. It's a touchy subject. So basically, to have Midjourney, it's not free. You do have to pay for it. And I think their cheapest plan is $10 a month. And it's definitely worth it, at least for a month, to play with it and just see how incredible incredible it is. And I'm saying incredible a lot today because a lot of this stuff is incredible, and it's incredibly scary at the same time. So once you set up your Midjourney account and you connect it to a Discord, because that's how it works. So if you don't know about Discord, I'm not going to talk about that here, but you do need Discord as well. So you could set up your own private channel within Midjourney so that you have your own feed and you're not bombarded with the millions of other people who are constantly putting prompts in and trying to create stuff as well. So once you're in here, it's super easy. You go down to message, you type imagine, you hit enter, it comes up with prompt, and you just let your imagination go crazy. So you know what? Just for YouTube purposes, just for fun, let's just type 35-year-old man filming a YouTube video. And let's do 1980s, masterpiece, hyper real, photo real, Kodak Ektar 100, and then let's just put Stanley Kubrick at the end just to see if it gives any style. And then we're gonna set we want it to be a portrait, so our aspect ratio, and then you just hit enter. Now, what you just saw, that I've been messing around with this for a couple of weeks. It takes a lot of time to really make something that you actually probably like and say, it's finished, it's awesome, let's use it, or whatever you're going to do with it. But it does take time. There's a learning curve with the prompts and understanding which words to change, how to manipulate this computer. One of the other really amazing things that you can do while this is loading is there's a plugin to Midjourney called InSwapper. What is it called? InSwapper. And InSwapper can take a photo like of me, of my face, and it will put it on anything that you want. So I'll show you a few of those as well. Okay, so it finished rendering out. It gives you four choices basically, and it looks like it actually tried to make young Stanley Kubrick, so that's actually kind of funny. So here's what we got. These are completely AI generated. This is not a real person. None of this is real. A computer made this. And let's just say, the one that pops out for me is he's got the yellow jacket on. So we're going to go ahead and upscale that fourth choice. And once it does that, you have the ability to create more variations off of the one that you like. You can zoom out a certain amount. You can custom zoom. You can make it a square image. You can continue to expand on this one prompt that you've made. You can copy and paste this prompt and you can continue to manipulate it in different ways. And once you want it, you just click on it and you save it to your computer. And also on your actual Midjourney profile, which I'm showing you now, it puts everything that you've made in your own little profile. So, you can come back, and if you forget, there's just so many prompts. As you can see, I have been really going to town. Now we're going to take a quick look at Runway. Runway actually does have a free trial where they give you like 100 seconds or something for free. It does have a watermark on it, but you can try it out, and I recommend it. So Runway is doing something just a little bit different than Midjourney, and it's doing text to video, which is crazy, and then it's doing image to video. And so I'm going to show you some examples of what I've been able to create using Midjourney and Runway together by creating the art and the images on Midjourney and then bringing them into Runway, processing them out. So when you upload your own image, unless you give it any kind of text prompt to manipulate this footage, you can't see any preview of your video. You do have to create some text to see any kind of preview, and that's limiting a little bit because you're paying for seconds, because it creates a 4-second clip and then you can extend it from there. But you do have to pay to have a higher quality without the watermark. And so, yeah, and there's so many different tools on here, video to video, removing the background. You can edit videos within Runway, which is pretty incredible. So this can kind of be a one-stop shop for some of you, if this works in your flow of content creation. As an inspirational tool, it is bar none. I mean, from ChatGPT to Midjourney and everything in between, they're tools that we should be using to inspire us and also to help broaden or push our creative bounds and things that we're not thinking of, visual identities that can't be really represented in our heads, or maybe you're like me and you can't really draw that well. You can use generative art to help bring something to life that you're thinking about. And for me as a writer, artificial intelligence is scary because I've seen ChatGPT can write full scripts and get very creative. And I think on a on a clerical level, on writing emails and I think you get it. Certain types of content will just make sense using ChatGPT, but it's kind of scary on the creative, original writing sense. And I think we're still trying to figure out what exactly that's going to be and how they'll police that and manage original works of art, whether it's from Midjourney or a platform like it, or a ChatGPT, and how we can reference those things and look at it differently from what a real human created and what a computer generated for us. So it's pretty otherworldly. Okay, well, if that video doesn't scare you or excite you or a little bit of both, you might want to check your pulse or see a doctor. I hope you enjoyed this video. If this is your first time coming to my channel, consider subscribing, go watch some of my other content. And until then, go play with some of those tools that we talked about, because it's a lot of fun. I'm telling you, you will get lost in the world of AI, generative everything. And I think it's a technology, I will say again, that we need to understand. If you're a filmmaker, if you're an artist, a graphic designer, a photographer, a voice actor, any of those things, you need to understand what is coming and how you can adapt and just be able to survive this incredibly fast changing world when it comes to creating content from scratch and having the ability to be inspired by AI generated art, which sounds bizarre, but so go create something, have AI help you out, I mean.